I am beating every N64 game, and I mean all of them. The twist is, the next game I play is randomly selected, so I have no clue what's coming next. This is the journey to beating every N64 game. Game number 198, Fighting Force 64. Released in 1999, this game was developed by Core Design and published by Crave Entertainment. This was apparently pitched to Sega as the fourth entry to Streets of Rage, but they didn't want to go along with it. I wonder how different the game would have turned out had that happened. Oh well. I'd never heard of this game before playing it here, so I didn't have a lot to go on. It seemed like there were a few people watching live who knew about it, so it seems decently popular. I don't know what else to say here. Streets of Rage 2 was amazing, so they certainly had a lot to live up to with their aspirations. Let's get into it. The game has a single player story mode, so that's what we'll be doing to beat this game. First thing to do is select my character. There's Hawk, Mace, Smasher, and Alana. Well, there's no info about how they behave other than how they look here, so I went with Smasher. He looks scary. It showed a cutscene with Smasher being dropped off from a helicopter. This is Car Park level 1.1. It's a 3D beat 'em up, sweet. I'm just sitting here beating the heck out of Dex and Carl and Floyd. Smasher can even roll into them with such force that they get knocked back. After taking care of them, I found a rocket launcher on the ground. Smasher just holds it with one hand. Imagine working for your bad guy boss. He expects you to show up to work in a suit and tie to fight people, and you just get insta-killed by a rocket. Workplace safety is not great here. If you sprint, Smasher can even do a diving attack. Like he's stage diving, except he's twice the crowd's size. So I think the glaring elephant in the room is how slow this game runs. Don't get me wrong, the game doesn't necessarily look laggy, just it's slow. I don't know if it was just a choice by the devs or the N64 is not able to handle it running faster. Just wanted to point that out. The bad guys don't just use melee. This guy brought a gun. Must be a Desert Eagle or something because it knocked me right on my butt. After beating up those dudes in the parking lot, I had already beaten the first stage. It immediately dumped me into the reception, level 1.2. Time to beat up more dudes. Look at them shuffling like that. They're wearing Heelys or something? This guy I'm blasting with the trash can isn't even named. He's just janitor. Does he even work for these guys? Like, maybe he was just trying to do some cleaning? Now he's dead. Wow, Smasher. Way to kick him while they're down. He was on like 1 HP. Just let him go. Oh god, Thab found the kick button. It's all over from here. Yeah, you don't need explosives to destroy gates and such. Just pure strength. Why are we beating all these people up anyway? Well, it is the mid-2000s and some guy named Dr. Dex Singh is infuriated. He used to work for the government, some kind of hidden force in New York. He is also a renowned professor of theology and he believed the world would end at the year 2000. All the signs were there. He was so sure that he convinced members of his militia and had them prepare. It seems his job at the government was making synthetic drugs and he got a little high on his own supply. Now he's gone nuts. But when the clock rolled to midnight, nothing happened. He felt both anger and embarrassment. This isn't how it's supposed to be. He thinks it's his job to force the apocalypse to happen because it should have. He's got the skills to create a bioweapon to do it too. One of his assistants, Snapper, rounded up some fighters to take him on and stop him because she thinks he's annoying, I guess. Well, none of that makes sense, but I guess I'll keep punching and kicking the dudes in suits. We've already made it to level 1.3, the lift. This is the classic elevator segment in a beat 'em up where enemies keep spawning on what feels like an elevator with 6,000 floors. Of course, they gotta fall in from above too. Like, this thing is massive. The biggest elevator I've ever been in is one of those ones in hospitals so they can transport a patient in a bed. This could fit like 20 beds. You ever just throw a guy at another guy? It's a fun way to pass the time. That was quick. We're on 1.4 now, the corridor. This clear security guard is named Janitor. That is not a janitor, come on. Out of nowhere, the walls exploded and two huge dudes came out. Well, they're still not as big as Smasher, but yeah. Their names are Bubba and Junior. These dudes must be from West Virginia. Okay, I'm not even joking. I had both a Bubba and a Junior in my age group for Little League Baseball growing up. Played on one of the teams up the holler. After beating those guys up, I was at level 1.5, Zhang's office. I assume this is saying, and he laughs as the glass breaks behind him and he boards a helicopter. Why the heck is everything being sucked out of the office? Does this building exist within a vacuum? I thought it was just going to be those two girls as a boss fight, but nope, more showed up. Smasher shows no mercy. I mean, I guess if it's followers of a guy trying to bring the apocalypse, it's kinda warranted. That marks the end of what I guess is World 1? So this is World 1, Level 1, High Street. This guy with his shirt off is clearly a leftover from the potential of this being a Streets of Rage sequel. That's Donovan! And these guys in the blue vests with white t-shirts are clearly just Galzia. Guess they were a bit overconfident Sega would go for it. Aw, geez, that UPS truck just crashed. Hey, those aren't UPS workers, they're janitors. Janitors don't work in UPS trucks, they clearly work for Zing. Then there was this helicopter that was absolutely out of control. Looks like me trying to fly in Grand Theft Auto. It just started shooting me with a turret, but there's basically no feedback of where you're being shot from. Thankfully, it just stopped out of nowhere. Oh yeah, you can heal by picking up food on the ground. It's not very appetizing looking though. I assume that's a sandwich. And I think this is supposed to be a hot dog? Or maybe like a foot-long deli sandwich? I don't know, it's weird. So now we get this cutscene of a semi-truck out of control just wrecking everything in its path. This is apparently level 2.2 Truck Driver. This is the first actual boss of the game. Zang's office was more a gauntlet of enemies. This guy even has a green health bar. I mean, I'm not sure what you're supposed to do to this guy other than just mash the attack button. It wasn't going super great because he was just blasting me with the wrench. I'll take this time to talk about the graphics and audio. I'd say the game looks decent graphically. For the N64, it's solid. The 3D models really stand out and the backgrounds are pretty detailed. I just wonder if it's even worth it because of how slow the game runs. It could be that it's utilizing my expansion pack and using high-res graphics in exchange for worse FPS. The music's okay. Some levels just randomly don't have any music, but the stuff that's there's solid. There are about 10 songs in all, I believe, mostly fast-paced music. So when I killed this guy, he basically turned into a loot pinata. It said I could choose from one of 3 routes, except I couldn't. I needed a certain score to reach the mall or the park. You get points from picking up items like these throughout the game, and this pile gave me enough to reach the shopping mall, level 3.1. So Smasher has a special attack where he slams the ground and destroys everything near him. Trade-off is it costs some of your HP to use. You know, just another thing from Streets of Rage. I don't think I'm supposed to be able to walk inside of this thing. It just seems like unintended behavior. I have a hunch. Oh god, there's a shop here just called X. I played this so long ago that it wouldn't even have registered as being weird. Now I can't stand to see that. You ever just take a knife to a car? Not like slashing the tires, like essentially punching it with a knife. Smasher is such a bad dude that he doesn't even pay the fare for the subway. Also, that picture of the woman on the wall is freaky. The subway train moves back and forth on the tracks in the back, plus it makes this horrible screeching sound every time it shows up. If you're standing there, I guess you get ran over. It kind of felt like the game was getting harder. Sometimes the enemies would gang up on me like this and there was just nothing I could do about it. It said I was on level 4.2 now, X0. Some dude shows up and I think this is where the inspiration for Vi in League of Legends came from. His health bar is ginormous compared to that truck driver too. I wonder if this was a harder path because it costs more points. You know, he kinda looks like Smasher. Maybe they're like long lost twins or something like that. I'm sure there's some lore behind it. Fighting him with melee was going horrible, so I just started launching things I found on the ground at him. This worked incredibly well, and I could even see this working as a damageless strat if you were patient enough. I took him out and he turned into a loot pinata just like the last guy. Where was all that stuff stored anyway? This time I only had 2 options on where to go, the naval base or the air base. Well, I'm not even slightly close to 300,000 required for air base, so I guess we're hitting the sea. We're on level 5.1, Train. Hey, just like GoldenEye. Still noticing these ridiculous names, by the way. You've got a guy named Bagman, and then of course there's Spud. Also, is that Stony or Stone 4? It's a weird font, I'll say that much. This level is exactly how you'd expect. You just make your way down the train car by car, punching everyone you see in the face. There were about 6 cars in all, easy game. Level 6.1, the naval base. Looks more like Control and GoldenEye to me. This crate had dynamite inside. I guess I haven't mentioned the lives. The little face icons in the bottom left represent my lives remaining. You literally just clear out this one room and the level ends. These are going so fast. The next level is 6.2, also naval base. This looks more the part. They're boats. The Navy has those, right? I guess it's kind of cool how you can break the terrain in certain areas. Usually it's just boxes and such. This must be how you get enough points to unlock the most expensive paths. All in all though, this was another level where I just had to clear out all the enemies in this single room. Oh shoot, time to fight Vulcan in 6.3. He's flying around in some kind of jetpack and he's just flashing with electricity. He landed and I just wasn't able to hit him. Eventually though, my attack did register and it took a lot of his health. He then ascends back into the air where I guess this cycle is just going to repeat. This time when I hit him, he shot me with something that did nearly half my health. Well, that's a bit unfair. Yeah, I lost another life here. Oh god, I have no idea what happens if you run out. Okay, I killed him in a weird way. Another loot pinata. I gained an extra life too. I didn't really like that fight. Guess there's no picking a path here, it just auto went to the next level. This is 6.4, hovercraft. I just chill on this hovercraft while tons of women show up for me to beat them up, like Marina, Aqua, or Harpoon. Eventually a helicopter landed on it and I blasted the dudes coming out with a rocket launcher. Feel like that should have also blown up the chopper, but whatever. Then these dudes flew in on some kind of hover bikes. I thought I was going to have to actually fight them on those, thank goodness I didn't. Just take down 3 rounds of hover bikes and 3 rounds of helicopters, easy level. Now it's 7.1, the Island Lab. I guess these guys in the green suits are supposed to be scientists or something? Also, weird decision for these guys to only have one punching hand. Maybe funds are tight. They're super annoying though. Anytime they hit you, it's a guaranteed knockdown. It doesn't do that much damage though, so it's more just a waste of time. This dude is just stuck running here. Just hang on a minute and I'll kill you, calm down. Further into the lab were these cryo enemies in some kind of pods. Their health bar's purple and it regenerates slowly, so you gotta kill them fast. How in the world is this dude blocking and punching at the same time? That's actually impossible to do. It was getting a bit ridiculous how many enemies they were sending at me at this point. I think there were over 50 in this hallway alone. Once I took them all out, I was on to 7.2, Island Lift. A comically large elevator, but this one at least makes sense. Some kind of construction elevator. About halfway up, some invisible foe was launching missiles at it. It's making the exact same sound as the rocket launcher from GoldenEye. I guess that's some stock sound effect. Of course, can't forget the hover bike dudes. It's just constantly beating up guys while this thing ascends. Hopefully this is near the end. The levels were getting way longer now. After like 5 rounds of rockets and 3 rounds of hover bike guys with many dudes in between, I'd reached the top. It's time for the final boss, level 7.3 Zing. I found a pistol on the ground to start, which was very effective. He's even bigger than Smasher. This dude is jacked. It almost feels like cheese to just go around and pick up the guns, but I guess the devs put them there for a reason. For a final boss, this guy is kind of underwhelming. He just walks around the entire time. Plus, when you hit him, it sounds like he saw something gross and is about to throw up. I guess he does have this weird spinning kick attack, so that's something. I killed him without much trouble, and I got one final loot pinata. Good riddance. There's a cutscene showing our forces being evacuated from the exploding base via a helicopter. I guess Zing isn't dead? He's being held at some max security prison. It's probably supposed to be Alcatraz. And then the credits roll. Well, that sure was a trip. There were no cheat codes I could find online, but there was one cool Easter egg. At the subway level, you can punch this ATM to make coins fall out. If you pick one up, the turnstile opens for you to enter legally. Nice. But yeah, that's about all there is for this one. Game complete. So yeah, there you have it. My journey to beating Fighting Force 64. I think this may be the only beat 'em up on the whole console. I can't think of any others. Maybe the console just wasn't meant for it, or maybe this isn't using it to its full potential, I don't know. The game's fun enough, I mean, you just punch bad guys. What's not to like? But how slow it runs is quite jarring. I think a full 3-punch combo with Smasher takes over 2 seconds to execute. There's a lot of areas this game could improve on personally. None of the environments stand out as super interesting to me. I feel like it'd be cool to play in some wacky area like an amusement park or haunted house or something weird like that, you know? The music was decent and the graphics looked pretty good. It's not a bad game, but it's not a great one either. I did like how there were multiple paths that could give you a reason to replay too. It just left me wanting something better. I gave Fighting Force 64 a 4 out of 10 for enjoyability and a 2.5 out of 10 for difficulty. Alright, thanks for watching, I hope you enjoyed. We had a randomized marble race to determine which game was next, so here's how that played out. Or skip to the timestamp on screen to skip straight to the game selection. Alright, we have 193 games left on the list. The Temple of Steve. They're all here still. Perfect Dark. Magical Tetris Challenge. Quest 64. Let's see what happens. 3, 2, 1, go. And down they go through the swirly thing. The next Madden game, potentially. Actually, is that Ocarina of Time in the lead once again? I think Ocarina of Time's the first one down. Let's see how it fails to actually win. Ocarina of Time, SimCity 2000 currently are leaders. Saikyo Habushogi in third place. Ocarina of Time hanging on to the lead. We're about to approach our first obstacle here. Let's see how Ocarina of Time fares against this. Beautifully executed. It doesn't even touch the comb. Ocarina of Time with a demanding lead. And it is just a blowout right now, folks. Ocarina of Time is dominating the competition. We have to wait and see what happens. Ocarina of Time gets stopped a little bit. That could affect things. Does get shoved forward, but that gives Turok 2 the chance to capitalize. Turok 2 currently essentially tied with Ocarina of Time. 40 Winks not too far behind. 40 Winks our only unofficial game on the list. And keep in mind, look here at the end, the goal is moving. It is not guaranteed the first one down will be the winner. Ocarina of Time still in the lead. Gets past the comb very well, but 40 Winks getting a big boost in speed and is now in the lead. 40 Winks coming down. 40 Winks has a shot at the goal. Ocarina of Time's right behind. I see Mischief Makers as well. And we'll just have to see what happens with the goal moving. 40 Winks is in the lead. 40 Winks going for the left side. That appears to be the correct choice, but will the goal does move and Ocarina of Time is in the lead on the right. The goal is under Ocarina of Time. Will it move out of the way at the last second? Ocarina of Time, no, it misses. Ocarina of Time does not land, and it's actually the next Turok game. Oh man, we're playing Turok 2. Also a good choice. But you just keep seeing Ocarina try to win, and it never happens. Alright, the next Turok game, which is Turok 2 Seeds of Evil. Yes, it has been decided. But yeah, if you're still here watching, you're awesome. Thank you so much. If you had a good time, consider hitting that like button, or maybe even dropping a subscription. Or hey, maybe even watch another one of these videos that's on screen now. And yeah, see you next time.